Hey, how's it going? Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatic. Back in here one more time for the feedback loop. It's the pre-show. It's pre-show. A little late, and I got busy answering some questions, and I had kind of a light morning, so I went to see if we had some things accumulate. And oddly enough, Eve and Katie have both come through with with similar submissions, and it's very rare that we get the opportunity to like do direct comparison one to one, and I think it's pretty good this morning to have that opportunity. Opposite coast, so we got South Carolina and Southern California, both southish. So we'll definitely get that looped in. Um, but we're just giving CouchBot a second to catch up. Um, Not a lot going on otherwise, though. Just just taking a quick look through the just taking a quick look through the new pragmatic um, around design channel. It is interesting that so first of all, Marcy Sutton, really bright, has a great it's like just amazing knowledge of Gatsby, and she's on the Smashing podcast this week. So like you can check that out inside of the Around Design channel. And oddly enough, just like that, Couchbot's fired. So little to no time to catch up on design news. But if you want to catch up on that, just know that every morning, top 10 story links are posted into the Around Design channel. It's definitely worth a look to keep up with what's going on in the world. Great story about there is actually is one story I want to mention before we get started. There is a story about a startup that basically realizes that a lot of people don't have nice views in their offices or whatever. Not a lot of startups, a lot of people. You don't have a nice view where you've been stuck at in quarantine. So they've set up a webcam, and just it's pointing out of various views so that you can like open your browser and get a look at like the world in live form. So it's like you're looking out of your window, but maybe your window's in New York, or maybe your window's in a forest, or wherever that webcam happens to be at that particular moment in time. I think it's actually a really great therapeutic idea to look at something other than this screen constantly. So and let's see if I can get a link on. I want to tell you what the name of that site is. For those of you that are, yep, I'm sure I want to open that link, Discord. This is, let's see here, Windows Swap. Yeah, it's called Windows Swap, and yeah, so just Google that, Windows Swap. I think you'll enjoy it. They said that the Fast Company said the results were delightfully surprising. It's like chat roulette, but for Windows. Anyway, but not Windows like your computer, like Windows like looking outside. Anyway, let's get this started. Greetings, one and all. Chris Courtney here, New Pragmatic. It is time for the feedback loop. I've got the beanie on, which means my head is cold, but my thoughts are fire. We are going to jump in because we've got Katie and we've got Eve. Yes, Katie and Eve together. And this is kind of an interesting scenario because both of them are running just ahead of schedule. And what I mean by that is there's been a job opportunity that's popped up, and they are in chase mode, okay? They're not quite ready with the things. They might be in the middle of a project, or they're just beginning their portfolio, but life comes at you fast, and sometimes you just have to get on the horse and go. The thing that I try to encourage people to do is don't put something out there that's half-baked, okay? Like, don't throw a portfolio together if you don't already have one and push it out there. Don't try to rush through a project and wrap it up and put that out there. Go with what you have that is, quote, finished, and then put a nice document together with it, i.e. your resume, that is up to date and ready to go. I would rather send out less and get into the conversation than rush and try to send out more, have a mistake in it, and then fall flat on your face because there was something in there that threw it. There was something in there that if you had not have included it, you'd probably be in the conversation. But you rushed, you included it, and then boom, you fall on your face. All right. So our goal is always, what can we do with what we have, and then do one smaller thing, and i.e. in this case it's a resume, that gets you over the finish line so that you can actually submit your work. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to look at, let's see here. We've got Katie, we've got Eve, and then we've got Katie's LinkedIn, and we've got Eve's LinkedIn. And this is something that I've tried to focus on talking to my students about, specifically relating to this top section on LinkedIn. Obviously, LinkedIn's pretty easy to get going here. Your name, what you do, where you are, the about, and don't worry about like number of connections. I mean, there are some people that just do not use LinkedIn a lot. I'm not one of those. I use LinkedIn quite a bit, but that's what happens when you do your own thing. But the about and featured sections, those should be populated on every single LinkedIn. Every single LinkedIn should have some sort of about section and a featured section showing the work that you've done. Okay. And Eve's got that. Let's go over here for Katie. Katie, oddly enough, we're connected, and you've got like a lot of connections. But Katie now has hers here as well, her about section. And oddly enough, looky here, she's got Fresh Market. Now, Eve, what's interesting is you've actually finished Fresh Market. Like the prototype is done, but Katie has a case study, and she's in the middle of Fresh Market. How is that? Well, think about this, Eve. You have the same thing that Katie has. If we click on this, this is going to take us through to Katie's Fresh Market project, which she has posted, oddly enough, over here on Medium. And, I love this. All this is saying to somebody is Katie knows how to make a prototype. For those in the know, they'll see this and go, oh, that's a prototype. This person knows how to prototype. That's all that's pointing out, okay? But it's not going to mean anything to somebody who doesn't know anything about design. But the people who are trying to hire you, I'm guessing that they know something about design. There's somebody on their team that knows something about design. So when they see this, it's like, ding, ding, this person knows how to prototype. You've got your overview, your challenge, the solution, what you learned, okay? This maps directly to what we've posted over here. Let's go with newpragmatic.com, case study writing. So when we talk about the breakdown, and of course a lot of the stuff you've seen before, I've recently made an update to it, but down here, what you learned, okay? When you're an entry-level designer, it is incredibly important to have your overview, which is essentially what this is. Overview, defining the challenge, solution, what you learn. So this is the overview, and this is where we begin to get into the, processes down here. So Katie's got it organized a little differently, and that is completely okay, all right? I'm not a stickler for, it's a little bit up here or it's a little bit down there. I'm simply saying that I need you to come in, tell me what the project is, give me a sense of what it is that I'm looking at, tell me what you learned, and then dive into your process, and not the other way around. I think when you're mid-career, you can do overview, process, and learn, because I'm less, at that point, when you've got like 10 projects, I'm less concerned about what you've learned, and I'm more thinking about, okay, well, what is your process? Because now you've worked long enough with enough different people that you're gonna probably do things a little differently. You're probably gonna have a wider range. when you're entry level, what you learned is really important to me because I'm trying to gauge where you are at. What am I going to have to teach you? What are the things that you're talking about when you are speaking about these projects? Mid-career, I'm like, okay, so how do you work? Early, it's like, okay, you're going to work the way we're going to work, so we're going to try to integrate you. What do you know? But notice that I have learned a learned section, you know, overview, learned, process, overview, process, learned, overview, learned, or just overview. Late career, lots of stuff drops off. Okay, it's just like that's where you begin to see people like with the big slideshows. And it's like those are great, but not great for people that are earlier in their career. So essentially, Katie has got herself set up with that in mind. She's also pointing out that the assets that she's produced, and she's linking to all of those things. So I really feel like Katie's in a great spot from that perspective. And of course, the funny thing here is she doesn't have a portfolio yet. It's really easy for me to get to her work because she's posted a case study on the Medium. All right. This featured section allows you to do that. Hopping back over here to Eve, I'm just curious about this project here for the reserve at Lake Kiowa. I probably butchered that. Yeah, Kiowa. I'm not going to try. But right there you see architectural, interiors. She had a lot to do with this. This is not a web project, okay? This is like she did interior design, and she was an architecture student. But this shows the ability to follow through on a big project, okay? That's something that, we talk about experience, okay? And knowing that you have the background that says, hey, I can see through the construction of a gigantic structure, that says that I had the experience to see your project through. Okay, so that's giving you a lot of wind in your sails there, even though you are coming at design from a different perspective now. All right, it says designer with nearly a decade of architectural and interior design experience, now pivoting into user experience and interface design. I'd probably put a period there, and that's fine. That's really all you need. Now Katie has gone a little deeper than that, and her about section is a little longer. My name's Katie Wilford. I graduated from UNO. I would probably put so University of Nebraska Omaha is right there, but I might mention it directly here because they may not make the connection. As an undergrad in business administration with concentration in marketing and management this past December. I'm instead of saying this past December, because this past December, when you think about it right now, it's July, that this will only be accurate for a few more months. I might say in December of 2019, before the world fell apart. I have a deep appreciation for marketing, having learned how strategic and analytic it needs to be, and yet how creative and fulfilling it is. I have recently gone back to school to pursue UX design. I'm currently in a mentorship program for UX UI design, and I'm extremely thrilled to see where my love of marketing and design takes me. I might say something like, and I'm extremely thrilled to take my love for marketing and design and see where I'm extremely thrilled to combine my love of marketing and design into a single career path. So there's something there. When I'm not at work, I'm doing something active, saying yes to new experiences and adventures. I'm eager to grow and ready to learn something new every day. Specialties, and this is the other piece that I really like. You're mentioning your specialties right away. These are the things that you have mentioned as a list item, as like assets that you've produced. That's something that I'm not getting over here, Eve. I really think like specialties, like so, this is fine. This is great, and it's coming. If I like zoom back over to here, it's coming right from here. Okay, so when we're writing this about intro for your resume, that's great. It's succinct, like tight, love it. But here, I think you can expand on it a bit, and I think Katie's done a good job of like sliding in those specialties early on, so that you have a good idea of what she does. Um, so for you, Eve, I don't think you necessarily have to have yours be that long. And Katie, I could say that you could tighten that section up if you wanted to. Um, I think what's interesting is they both work. Like Eve's works, it's tight, it's succinct, but I'd like to see those specialties make their way higher up, so people right away kind of get a sense of your boundaries. And Katie, I think yours works. I just wanna work on clarifying a few things in this first paragraph. Um, Both of you have featured items now listed. Although Eve, what I would like to see for you is I'd like to see you bring Fresh Market in here, so that when people first see your LinkedIn, they see not only where you've been but also where you are. And I know, again, you've got a case study that we could link to. You're also in the midst of elevating that case study with all the new things that were in the prototype. So I think that getting one more featured element in here is going to be key. And Katie, like we've talked about, you're going through the components exercise, linking to that prototype, just to show, like, yeah, I can do the research side, but I'm also doing the UI side as well. Again, helping expand that forward. Um, you know, I think showing that you're active on the platform is good. Um, you know, being good community member, sharing things, making comments. That all just shows that you're active. Eve, again, you're not on LinkedIn a lot, so it's not a big deal. But I do think that going through giving thumbs up here and there, it creates an activity field for you, and they can kind of people kind of get a sense of what you're into. The good news about LinkedIn is that it's not so divisive, like a lot of social media platforms can be. So you have an opportunity to like show who you are, and you don't have to worry about stepping on a landmine. Typically, I'm sure that there are some landmines out there. But overall, I really like the approach for both of these. Let's focus on the resume. So both of you are in the realm of using this two-column design. It's just, we're just picking up from Google, using what the world has given us. The big reason we're doing this is when we submit these resumes for an employer, particularly if it's an employer of any size where they may be getting like 100 applicants, they're going to put this through an applicant tracking system. Now, the big thing that you want to do for anything like that is you want to try to look at the job posting, if there is a job posting, and you want to make sure that if there are keywords in the job posting, you want to pick those out and be utilizing them somewhere in either like your experience or the projects that you've worked on, or the skills that you have, and you're wanting to make sure to mention those specific things so that the applicant tracking system picks up on, oh, this person matches 63% of the key terms in your post match with this applicant, and that's how an applicant tracking system, or ATS, works. Oh, by the way, Eve, the good news here is you have these skills already listed here. So you could literally just pluck these out and put them in your LinkedIn. So that's good. Um, you've got, here's your intro, name, how to contact with you. The one good thing I'll say here that I've noticed between the two is Eve's already gotten rid of the color on here. Um, color throws applicant tracking systems off. So if we can just go with black and white, you'll be better off. So Katie, you'll want to go through and, like, you know, I realize it's a link, I get it, but we want to go through and, turn that black so that it does not throw off the applicant tracking system. Same thing with these labels. Although this, it's kind of interesting. I'm not sure why these are off. It's like this one's got like more to the top. So that might be where you want to go in and look at the format and try to get these to line up, these two columns. It just looks a little better. Not that the applicant tracking system is going to care at all. From here, you've got your experience, administrative assistant, growth marketing intern, bank teller. This is fine for you. I think that it's interesting because when I'm thinking about, like, your background on as you've got marketing and design. What I see here is I see Prana, QAT Global, and Red Bull. Because I see this field marketing specialist. I see this as being closer aligned. And it looks like it might have even been an internship. I see this as being closer aligned than this to where you're going. So I'm not as keen on keeping this one in. And it might have been a great gig, not doubting that at all. But when I look at this, what I see is marketing, bank. So it's like that's the one that doesn't fit. Additionally, you've got a couple of projects over here, and I think that adding a paragraph to Fresh Market would probably make a good idea. Also, what I noticed over here on Eve's is to allow for more discussion of the projects that she's worked on. So she's got like a short write-up with each one of these, and skills and languages and whatever. She's added education in underneath her experience. So if we did that same sort of approach where let's roll this back and let's move education over, we could probably add more about the UX project that you've worked on here, and then so skills, projects. Yeah, that's probably the flip that I would make, just to buy some more space in the rail. I do think that you will, and frankly, you've got more skills in this. If you take a cue from what Eve has pointed out, user interviews, usability testing, competitive analysis, affinity mapping, wireframing, prototyping. When I look over here, I see user testing, UX research, wireframe, prototyping. So like UX research, you could expand that out instead of just saying research. There's several different methods that you've already used. I would get those listed out. The good news here is you're both applying for different types of jobs, and you're not applying for the same job. So while this template is relatively drab from the really creative things that you might want to do, it works really well for a applicant tracking system. And that's the thing we have to remember is the only reason we're using this is to make sure that we pass through that bot gate that might be blocking us. The one thing I would say is once you get this cleaned up and you get it where you want it to be, that's where I would jump into Figma, and I would make a resume that I would want to hand somebody. So if there's ever a situation where you're meeting with a team, oh hey, Katie's in here. If there's ever a situation where you're meeting with a team and you are and you have an opportunity to hand out your resume, I don't want you to hand this one out. This is really just for the, I'm applying into a system and I need to make sure it gets through the system. This is not the, I'm going to hand out to everybody in the room when I go in for my interview, okay? Or I'm going to send my resume across as a PDF, and I know it's going to a specific person. Anytime you know your resume is going to a specific person, give them a nice one that you've had an opportunity to really design, not the Google document. Okay, all right. And that's going to really wrap it up for us. This was an opportunity for us to take a look at both how LinkedIn can be leveraged for your early portfolios, really, like linking to the projects, making sure that about section is in there, and then looking at the resume and how it's being structured and ways that we can optimize it so that we are really highlighting the jobs and roles that we want to make sure are getting across to these prospective employers. All right, folks, I am going to jump into a meeting, and I will see many of you later today. And for the rest of you, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.